Alrighty, one, two, three. Looks like everything is working out okay. Hey everyone, I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day today. Bitcoin is doing okay. We had some scary news throughout the middle of the day, but it looks like everything has stabilized now, which I think is a very good piece of news here. So, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin as always, going over some altcoins, a bunch of news stories here today. One, two, three, four, five. That's a good amount for me. And then on top of that, doing a little bit of a channel update. I'll show you guys some cool stuff I'm working on here. And then, as always, Loki's over here lingering because he wants a treat. We're going to start him off with a little tiny doggy bone here and see how he likes that one. Yep, there you go. He's not in trouble, but I am annoyed with him today because he wanted to go outside a lot. And by going outside a lot, I went outside a lot, and it happens to be raining. And I got attacked by mosquitoes, and I didn't even know about it. So I am bitten up. Let's just say bitten up right now. So I'm chilling. I got myself some water. No tea today, but I got myself some water. I got myself my nice pipe here with a lighter tobacco today, actually, but it still tastes freaking great, so I don't care. So I'm all set. The reason I'm smoking this today is I've noticed I've been kind of getting jittery lately, and I think that's just from a lack of sleep. I knew that my sister was here last week, and because she was here, I was going out every night to go chill with the guys and whatnot, and like dates and all just types of fun stuff because she was here to watch my dog. Now I'm realizing that all of that getting back onto a regular schedule really messed up my mind as I was getting back into the fast. So from now on, I'm only eating on Tuesdays. We'll see how that goes off here. But I think this will cause me to slow down just a little bit, so I'm a little bit easier for you guys to understand. You guys probably already could understand me, but I was talking really fast, and I knew I was talking fast, which meant I was talking extremely fast, if that makes sense. So, hey, Rakas, happy to see you, man. Hey, Mega Grace, happy to see you too. Karik, happy to see all of you guys. Wilder, I know I love this pipe. This pipe cost me a little bit of money, but it's freaking great. This pipe was like a couple $100. Couple $100 with tax. The only thing is I am not great at smoking pipes, so I'm gonna have to relight this a few times so you guys can see what I'm doing. But by then my head will be in a little tiny box, and everybody will be fine. You guys won't see me struggling over here with this pipe. But anyway, here we go. Bitcoin doing some interesting stuff here today. This is the 4-hour chart. And actually for this one, how about we just do this? How about we just go to full screen here? You guys can see me in the little box in the bottom right hand side. You guys can see we broke out yesterday. We hit the order block. We got rejected from the order block. Surprise, surprise. Bitcoin gets rejected at resistance levels. Who would have thought? But we haven't had a large fall off into nothingness. Oh my God, all of that beautiful move we had after the Iran war ended. No, we're just having a nice consolidation down, literally following the trend line down. Support bounce, support bounce, support bounce, and another support bounce that happened earlier this morning. And we'll talk about some of the news here in a second. But Bitcoin's still bullish. The momentum is still okay in my eyes right now. We're seeing a little bit of a downward move on the 4-hour chart, but on the daily chart, we just popped up to green, and the weekly chart here, we're still green. Let me say that, right? So I'm still pretty optimistic that Bitcoin can make another move. Right now, it really depends on if we can just get this final jolt here. Last time we had a golden cross right over here. It didn't really amount to anything on the 4-hour charts here, so I'm not like thinking it's going to be massive, but I think we have an opportunity to get back up here towards 108,000, possibly up here to resistance around 109,000 about. So it's technically like 108,823, but you get the point. Close enough there, right? Now, when I'm looking at all this stuff, I still think if you guys bought anything over here, it's responsible to at least scale out something over, because we're at a level of resistance. You guys might not be able to close it out at a good price in the next few days if Bitcoin does go down. And this brings me to some of the news we saw today. Now, when we had this news, the market actually had a pretty negative reaction. You probably saw this in the stock market and in the crypto market as well. We saw Bitcoin come straight down here, but then it managed to rebound, bouncing off support, the order block, just that nice support level we had, right? And now it's just kind of teetering sideways, which it's been doing for a while, still generally going in the downward direction. All right, so despite the news, we're still moving up. I think the SPY hit all-time highs, say NASDAQ hit all-time highs, say in the Dow Jones. Didn't come close, but it's moving in the right direction. So the reason I brought that up of what actually happened here was Trump said, hey, we are going to be... Let me do this one for you guys. There we go. Trump is ending all U.S. trade talks with Canada over the digital services tax. Long story short, Canada wants to charge our companies a digital services tax, and Trump is like, no, you will not. And Canada is doing this in effect because as we lower our tax rates over here for corporations and whatnot, that makes it more appealing for Canadian companies to have their main headquarters over here, which brings a lot of their elite classes over here for work. I don't know what you want to call them these days. I haven't worked in the management for a while. Not elite. Office class, whatever. They're bringing their office class down here, which is making them lose a little bit of income, of course, because America has cheaper taxes. A corporation will go right across the border for cheaper taxes. All right. Now, Trump is not happy with this, and because of that, he's done this where he says he's ending all U.S. trade talks with Canada. And again, I'm not going to go through all of this, but let me just read what he said earlier today. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact that they have charged our farmers as much as 400% in tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European model, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us. Also, based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention, right? That last line was the thing that kind of scared everybody, got them all spooked up in the middle of the day, right? So it looks like there'll be a mini trade war between the United States and Mexico, and the United States and Canada, but I don't think of this as necessarily being a massive thing here. Let's go to maps and USA, I suppose. Right, and go over here to layers. You guys can see what's going on now. All right, so we see America right here. We know we're going to have a trade war. Nothing crazy, just going to have a dispute here. It's not like back in April where we were going after Mexico, Europe, China, India, Africa, the Asian countries. Like, we're not doing all that this time. We're going to be doing a more surgical tariff battle with Canada, which I expect Trump will not want to lose, right? And so we're going to launch more tariffs on Canada. What I think is going to happen here also, though, is China also has some issues with Canada as well. And last time when we were bullying Canada with our tariffs, China joined in to make it that much worse for them. Because China and America now just launched a new trade agreement here that's going to be signed and all that type of stuff, but since China and America have agreed to it, basically, you may see China decide to help out America and basically help out their own interest by going after Canada at the same time. Canada is not strong enough to deal with all of that, right? They're just not strong enough to deal with all that economic pressure. So they may go kicking and screaming and things like that. That's fine. But at the end of the day, Trump is probably going to get what he wants here. Trump does have a history of backing down. So if you do see this tariff battle get kind of scary for a week, or you see Bitcoin dropping for a week or something like that, like we have done in the past, I would not be opposed to buying those dips, taking those altcoins and whatnot. And then this is where I think the silver lining comes in, actually, with this story. Bitcoin dominance is pretty darn freaking close to that Fibonacci level. We may see this tariff little spat actually get us to that level of resistance, Trump backing down, and then we go down even more. Now, this is just a Fibonacci level. This is not like a hard level of resistance. We could always go higher, but this was all the way back in 2020. I just don't see something like that happening this time around, but we'll have to wait and see, right? We may end up going higher because we haven't had rate cuts just yet. There's a bunch of different things that can happen. However, usually we do have a big level of resistance here. So this is back when we found our lows back over here. We broke out, no resistance here, unfortunately for us. Resistance, altcoin sword, altcoins mega sword over here. And then we've had some altcoin soaring moments in here, but we could be very close to having altcoin soar again as it continues to move higher. And as it continues to move higher again, that's when you're going to see altcoins bleed back into Bitcoin. But we are looking very good for an opportunity for you guys to load up on your favorite altcoins for maybe holding for up to a month, right? And by that, I mean, once the move starts to happen, it usually quiets down after 3 to 4 weeks. We've talked about this every time we've had the rally here because it's been so consistent. But I want you guys to make sure you guys understand there are long-term dollar cost averages you can do, and there's these little ones that happen when we get hit levels of resistance where you guys can be like, oh yeah, let's buy some of this. You wait a few weeks, you make your 100, 200%. If you're using like 2x, 3x leverage, whoa, that's a big amount of money right there. You wait on it, makes you money, and then you sell. But you have to scale out and make your money. But I'm thinking that if we are looking for an excuse to get back up there a little bit faster to this Fibonacci level, which is at what, 66.45%, right? A tariff battle can easily do that, as you may see alts kind of go into Bitcoin, or you may even see Bitcoin surge over the next few days because it's trying to break out. And that surge could also just say, hey, Bitcoin's surging, but altcoins aren't. That could also be something. As I'm looking at Bitcoin right now, I know Bitcoin can move higher, but all the institutions are closed for the weekend, so I'm expecting to see a little bit more chop here instead of like just rapid moves up. If we have a rapid move, I think it would have to be off of economic news or some big headline, and not necessarily just letting Bitcoin kind of chunk along there with all the technicals that we've been seeing, right? Now, as far as everything else is concerned, when you put all that into perspective, Ethereum, it's below the moving averages. You could have a massive move right here. I'm keeping a close eye on it. Solana here, below the 20-day moving average, could definitely have a nice little spike right there. Dogecoin and a bunch of other tokens, they're all at levels of support here. So again, not all tokens look like they're doing okay, like a Dogecoin or a Bitcoin or Ethereum. But if you see a level of support, you see an opportunity to buy, you can kind of imagine, hey, there's an opportunity for Bitcoin to bounce up here and then go a little bit higher. Maybe not all the way up here to like 80 cents, 60 cents, but can we bounce back up here from 16.5 all the way up to like 21 cents? Yes, we can. All right. And that's kind of the moves I'm looking for right now. There are more risky moves like Trump token or Melania token. But right now, they don't really have the technicals to back up buying them. But things like, where's my little AI token stash here? Turbo token, right below moving average, could definitely see a nice little pop right there. Yes, it is part of the AI token ecosystem here. Fetch AI, right below the moving averages, crisscrossing right now, could see a nice little bump. NMR, a little bit too far away for comfort, but oh, look at that. It tried to break out above it a few times here. That volatility is no joke. So maybe a hidden gem there if you're assuming that everything else is going to go up. And then maybe something like, I don't know where it's at, so I'm not going to even try to... Oh, World Token, there you go. World Token also playing around here where we could have a nice little pop. These pops don't look like a lot, but you can see this one right here where we kind of closed below it, then opened back above it. That swing was about 41% right there in the week. So please don't knock these opportunities to trade all these moving averages, especially if Bitcoin's going to try to make one more little lunge next week. Maybe then we run into resistance. We'll have to see. But I would have to expect that we are going to go down a little bit once Trump does his tariffs. If the tariffs aren't as bad as we think they are, or maybe they're not as bad as the market expects them to be, then we could be okay. I'm glad that Trump didn't name off the tariffs tonight, or that would have been a lot more crazy. But for now, I'm not too disappointed by it. Now today's Friday. I'm streaming because I didn't stream yesterday, or maybe I did stream yesterday. I don't recall. My brain has been kind of fuzzy lately with all this fasting stuff. That being said, what I want to do is tomorrow I'm not streaming because... No, I'm streaming. I'm streaming in the 12 o'clock at noon time, not like the late night time. I have a mixer to go to that a friend is throwing. But I do want to build up another watch list for us. And this watch list is going to be purely tokens that over the last 30, 60, and 90 days are all green. Okay? They have to fit into that category here. So Hyperliquid fits into that category. Bitcoin Cash fits into that category. And then we're going to, Uniswap fits into that category. What we're going to do is make that into another portfolio here and see what's happening. Now, as we go over to our portfolio here that we made a week ago or so like that, guess what? We're up 1.5% in the last 24 hours, but all time we put in $1,000, right? We've made about $18.20 profit, or about 1.82% so far. So we really haven't done much here, to be honest, but that's because this is more of a, hey, we're loading up on this now. We're dollar cost averaging now. We assumed we dollar cost average. We just found some good levels. Well, we didn't even buy at the lows. We just kind of bought where the prices were at last week, which was kind of mixed, right? But Whenever Bitcoin blasts off, we will sell this as a group. And just so you guys know, this has Bitcoin, SEI, Crow, BNB, XRP, Ethereum, Pepe, Solana, Dogecoin, Hyperliquid, Bubble Maps, and official Trump here. And just so you can see, even though we're profitable, it's off of only a few tokens. SEI is up 61% since we bought. That's given us $31. Bitcoin's up 2.3%. That's up $11. And BNB is basically unch. Look above. Oh, you guys can't see this properly. Let me move this over here. XRP's lost us about $1. Crow is down about $7. Ethereum's down about $2. Pepe's down about $5, right? And then the biggest loser right now would be Pepe at $5.75. No, Kronos at $7.68, right? So despite all that, having that diversity has really helped us out a lot. But in reality, if we were looking at something like SEI, because we bought this and it took off, right? Can go off. There you go. These are old technicals here. We haven't talked about this token in such a long time. All right. Now everything's a little bit more adjusted here. And a little bit different. We can do this for now. Okay. We just hit the 50-week moving average after having a massive breakout this week. Theoretically, we should sell, take that profit, and move somewhere else. Now, we're not going to do that because I do want to hold for a few weeks and see where things go. But just generally speaking, if you normally want to take that profit, it's not a bad idea because from where we bought it at, it's up 61%. Pretty good, right? So, you know, you can take your profits as they come. You don't have to think about everything being at the same time. Now, next up over news here, I can go back over this page right here. We did see the S&P close at record highs today. That is pretty good news. Despite all the chaos, all the Fed talk about inflation getting higher, it really hasn't manifested like they said it would in that kind of catastrophic way. And so what we're seeing right now is the market getting more confident. And if the stock market's getting more confident, I assume, and I think I'd be right to assume, that we should see more money coming into Bitcoin over the next few days, weeks, and months, which will get us very, very excited. We haven't had any bad economic news that's really going to deter us or scare us so far. Right now, we just talked about the Canada stuff. That's pretty much the news that can deter us. I don't know, I don't know how much you guys are afraid of that right now, because I know, hold on a second here, guys, sorry. I know a lot of us were a little afraid of what happened back in April. That was a scary time for the markets. But I think, generally speaking, people will be okay if it's just Canada. Maybe because people just don't care about Canada or something like that. But I don't think it's going to be the biggest deal out there. I think it will cause a dip when the news is announced, but I wouldn't be surprised if the market keeps on rallying here. So you guys may disagree, but please let me know what you guys think about this one. Now, this one is also a good story here. If I can find my mouse, because I got all these monitors over here. There we go. And hey, Villa, happy to see you. Mike, Digital K, Gigi Hunter, Gigi Hunter, Gigi Hunter. I'm not entirely sure. I know you from a while though. And hey, LW, happy to see you as well. China confirms the details of the U.S. trade deal here. This is some pretty good news for us. Let me see right here if I can just find the meat of it. Oh, that was not the story I was reading earlier. But that's okay. All right, so basically, we're going to get some rare earth minerals out of all this stuff. Let's see. There you go. They still have to get some of the stuff with the rare earth minerals, but it seems like, what do you call, everybody's pretty excited about this. And again, China has some leverage here because we are not mining rare earth minerals as much as we should be. And I think that'll change, but we got to find a good source of them. I think some of them have been discovered in our national parks, but like, to be honest, I'd rather have the national park rather than a mine. I think we just, look towards Africa and get all that shit from there. It might even be cheaper. We don't have to build up some infrastructure, but our corporations can handle all that. They love to invest and get a return on their money. Even if there has been some anti-Western sentiment in Africa lately, I think we'll be okay. And hey, LW, you thought the China deal might be a bigger launch pad? Well, here. So let me go over here to ChatGPT very fast. And then let's do a new one. There you go. So China and the USA have a new trade deal. Can you break down the details, right? So, bloop, bloop, bloop. There we go. Okay. So, key elements of the deal: resumption and acceleration of rare earth and magnet exports. We talked about that a few seconds ago. China will expedite approvals and resume exports of rare earth minerals and strategic magnets, crucial for U.S. tech, defense, automotive, and microchip industries. In response, the USA is lifting countermeasures it had imposed when China stalled shipments after a previous Geneva agreement. Tariff adjustments and a 90-day truce. The deal formalizes a 90-day pause on the high mutual tariffs up to 145% that have been disrupting trade since August. You guys know that was a crazy time. While some tariffs remain, this provides critical breathing room for broader negotiations. Critical next step: implement and verify the agreed upon tariff rollbacks and rare earth flows. Negotiation framework, all that type of stuff here. Next phase, wider trade agreements. The Trump administration plans to expand similar deals with 10 other major partners during this 90-day truce, aiming for a broader tariff relief. Meanwhile, core disputes remain unresolved, including China trade surplus and alleged unfair practices, U.S. export controls on tech and student visas, long-term supply chain resilience, and why it matters, yada, yada, yada. Basically, how do I describe this? This is a glorified way to keep on saying, hey, no chaos here. We're just going to keep on talking, but we're getting closer to a deal. We just need to really hash out some of the big stuff, which will take time. But again, this is a good way of going about it. We could have done the same thing that China we just did to Canada, saying, hey, no more trade negotiations, back to 145% tariffs. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. Bitcoin to $5. I mean, it could have been that chaotic, but it's not going to be this time. Because they are working, they are getting some stuff understood, and it seems to be good faith on both sides. And America believes China's working in good faith, as good faith as they can, and then vice versa. They think we're working as good faith as we can. They're not like taxing all of our corporations or doing stuff like that like Canada is. Canada's playing a different game, and Trump doesn't like that game. And of course, we have more power over Canada than we do over China, as you might imagine. Yeah, this thing's dying on me every few seconds. I need to push it down. Here, hold on a second. There you go. But I guess this was more of the same here, but Trump shrugs off the July tariff deadline. We can do whatever we want to. So it seems like Trump is kind of done with tariffs right now, for the most part. Trump and that Canadian Prime Minister do not get along on a personal level, and I think that's what's happening here. Trump respects Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping respects Trump. The European leaders necessarily don't like Trump, but they know they need him for so much stuff. Canada doesn't really understand their place in the world order. They think they're more than what they are to a certain degree as far as their politicians. And I can understand that. Asserting some authority, sure. But you know how a few years ago, back in 2017, Trump was telling all the Europeans, like, hey, Russia can do something bad. You guys need to bump up your defense spending or you're going to regret it later on. Don't use Russian oil. That's stupid. Use American oil. And maybe a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to rely on Russia. Right? And so they've kind of realized that they've been forced to come around to his way of thinking because, again, in that time frame, Russia invaded Ukraine, and right now Europeans still use Russian oil. So the Europeans still help fund the war in Ukraine, which from the Russians' perspective, right? Which is crazy. Now again, it's kind of just like a hidden truth, if you will. It kind of sucks, because we want Ukraine to win, obviously. But it's just kind of a little bit of chaos right there. But Trump and his team are working on negotiations with the Europeans. Those are going better. I think because Trump doesn't really have any anger towards them, his campaign just launched that video, "Daddy's Home," and I was like, "What the fuck happened? Who called him daddy?" The NATO leader called him daddy. I don't understand how things work over in Europe. I'm born in like Tacoma, Washington, a little bit of a different society, right? But wild stuff. Canada, it's malice. We hate each other up there. Like, didn't we just beat them in hockey or something like that? Which is like crazy, and like killed them in hockey. You know what I mean? So there's been some national fervor on both sides where they don't like us, we don't like them. And again, those are just because of what our leaders are saying. If I go see a Canadian up in Canada, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, you're a Canadian, fuck you." You know, I'm not going to do that. But if I see a Canadian trash talking America on TV, I'm going to be like, "Fuck you." Hopefully that makes sense, right? So it's a little bit different. But yeah, so again, just a nice little bit of news here that I think is going to be good for all of us. Now, this is the one that's all over mainstream news, X, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff here. And what we have is the Supreme Court limiting judges' power to halt Trump's birthright citizen order. And I would say, just for now, like everybody else is saying, forget about the birthright citizenship order, okay? They are limiting the ability for district courts to say, "Hey, we don't like this law, so we're going to ban it across the entire United States." Now they can only ban it in their certain little district, which I think is a great thing, because I believe judges have been overstepping their power a lot. And I believe Trump, for a minute, has wanted to do some cryptocurrency, what would you call these things? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the name of them. Executive actions, right? Executive orders. If Trump can do executive orders on cryptocurrency, on Bitcoin, and all this other stuff without it being nationalized across the whole United States, I think this thing is going to be absolutely fantastic. Because from what I understand about this story, what's going to happen now is they've talked about how they might have to go do class action lawsuits in order for it to be across the United States, right? And maybe I can find it here. Crash blotter, yes. Yes. Yes, blistering the scent, sure. Yeah. Whining. Let's see. Oh, I can't find it. Okay. I was reading it in another article the other day. But basically, the way around this type of law that just got put into place by the Supreme Court is basically they can do some class action lawsuit stuff to get it all across the nation, which will be difficult, of course, but there's a way to do it. Well, I'd have to say, I don't see that many class action lawsuits coming up for Bitcoin if Trump is saying, "Hey, let's do an executive order that can make it easier for people to buy Bitcoin, easier for this to happen, easier for Bitcoin to go up." I just don't see how enough people are going to be like, "Oh, I myself am affected in a negative way because Bitcoin's going up. I chose to short Bitcoin at a, you know what I mean?" So I think that's the hidden gem of all this. I'm hoping we can actually have some good moves from Bitcoin because of it, but I don't know if David Sachs is even thinking about that. I have to assume he is. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that one? I'm hopeful that he can start doing some executive orders here again. I was going to play some news here about it, but all the news is exactly the same. I think you guys have probably seen it on X by now. What I might do is play some off of X, excuse me, instead of going to like CNN or Fox News or something like that. Gosh, tobacco really does calm me down. I need to do this more often, but I don't want to smoke so much, right? All right. So here's X. Let me move it over here very fast. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin is amazing and a great thing for our country. President Donald Trump. Let me see. You're gonna witness biggest breakout in history. I mean, nothing crazy here, right? Nothing exciting. Uh, Eric Trump says royal families and everyone are buying Bitcoin. Point one Bitcoin will be worth an absolute fortune. Bitcoiners and Bitcoin, it's $150,000. Not gonna lie, that might be me. You never know. That could always be me. I wouldn't be doing it in public, but that could be me in private. Um, Let's see. I believe the Federal Reserve is weeks away from having a nuclear weapon. That's a good one here. But again, people talking about breakouts. The general mood is, hey, we're just loading up for a very, very big mood. And boom, we just have to wait. So load up while you can. Everything's about to be really nice. And while I agree, I think we are going to break out soon enough. I don't think altcoins see those really crazy levels that we've seen in the past unless we have rate cuts. And maybe I'm a little bit on the wrong side of that, perhaps, compared to a lot of other YouTubers. But we've had bumps before. It's just, we've had times where altcoins are booming, but the few times we've had altcoins making these massive rallies was really like a 2-month window from when Jerome Powell started rate cuts. And then you saw how everything went bad once he stopped doing rate cuts. I mean, here. Jerome Powell ended rate cuts right here. I mean, need I say freaking more? You know what I mean? Solana ended rate cuts right over here. We had one big pump and then we kept on going down. Dogecoin ended rate cuts over here. Yeah, over here. Went down. Trump tokens too new. Whiff. Ended rate cuts over here. You know what I mean? And again, this is where we started to see rate. This is when the rate cuts were being lifted right here. Cut over here, right? Loaded up, buy. You had a big spring. I know it doesn't look like a lot, but if you sold up here at the order block of the resistance, that's still around 60% for just holding for a few weeks. Tell me where we can find those gains anywhere else. Bonk. I mean, you can see on every chart. I'm not going to like show it over and over again, but you can see where it happened in every single chart. You can see that moment where everybody was like, ah, shit, here we go down. You can see some tokens had really good pumps ahead of it, right? But once that news was determined, that's when everything went bad. And you can see beforehand, a lot of them were having nice little pops and whatnot. Some had smaller pops. Some like 80 had massive pops over here. It really depends, right? It really depends on those rate cuts if you want to see those magnificent big booms. Otherwise, we're just kind of going in a sloppy pattern. We're going choppy, choppy, choppy. There are things like BNB right here, which are going to be a little bit different because of how people hold them. But you can still see we haven't reached the highs we had over here since we stopped doing the rate cuts. Okay, so just understand those rate cuts are going to be everything here. Rate cuts are going to be everything for us, and the altcoin system, if you ask me. All right, now what are you guys talking about over here? Thanks for the updates. I appreciate you, Delilah. Thank you so much for watching. The XRP news is huge. Crypto mainstream adoption is coming. Hope all is well, Michael. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Happy to see my man. I'm out in like Seattle area, Seattle, Tacoma area. I love it out here, man. Except for it was raining. I got chewed up by like 1,000 little mosquitoes today. I'm still pissed off about it. And I can't smoke with a cigar to save my life. I don't know why. This tobacco is not old, but it's I just haven't smoked in like a few months out of a pipe, so I'm not entirely sure. I got one of those Mershon pipes, and I'll show it to you guys in a second here. I can show you guys now while I'm talking with you guys. It's one of these. And it starts off very white, but now it's kind of like a brownish color because the oils from the tobacco kind of bleed into it a little bit. The oils from my hands kind of bleed into it because I'm touching tobacco and stuff like that, and it makes a big difference. What do you call it? I think XRP is still a good long-term hold. I just think there was so many people that took profits because it went up so fast off of that ruling, right? So there'll be another ruling coming out soon, and that'll launch another big XRP wave. So, I have a few friends that just have like 3x leverages on XRP right now. They're just holding and holding, letting the fees drain every day a little bit here. But they believe that next big move is going to be so big it doesn't matter how much the fees are. So if you guys are looking for a YOLO where other large investors are putting the money that I know, it's XRP, like 3x leverage, 2x leverage. Not an ad. I'm not sponsored by anybody, of course. I have a position like that myself without leverage. I should say that without leverage. But yeah. Do I think the trade deadline dumps? No, I don't think so. It doesn't seem like Trump really wants to do much for some of these deadlines here. It seems like he's enjoying the economy looking okay as far as the stock market, which is how he gauges the economy. We have right now this China deal going through. Looks like the European leaders are doing what he wants. He just left the NATO conference, and the European leaders, except for Spain or something like that, are basically saying we're going to up our percentage of GDP up to 5% by 2035, I believe it is, 2033, something like that. And so again, Trump is getting a lot of what he wants, and he's being vindicated in certain ways about saying, hey, I told you guys are supposed to put more into defense. Now you guys are playing catch up. Now you guys are rushing. Now you guys can't budget properly because you got to rush all this shit through. All that type of stuff is happening right now. So Trump is feeling great. Oh, you said inflation was supposed to skyrocket. Oh, inflation hasn't been skyrocketing. What are you talking about here, right? You said we couldn't negotiate new trade deals because of the tariffs. Oh, what? We got new trade deals coming with China right now. Like, he's feeling like in a good spot. Oh, you're saying, if I bombed Iran, that'd be a World War III. Oh, well, I bombed Iran. All of a sudden, they want a peace agreement. Like, he's in a good mood right now. So I think he wants to keep this good move going, and he doesn't want to have all this bad press. Let alone all these Supreme Court things that happened today. There's one where the national injunctions, that's one of them. There's one about opting out of LGBTQ books in schools because some parents don't want their elementary school kids to read all about sex and shit, and I can understand that, of course. And then one about illegal aliens, one about the same one about the injunction about birthright. There's a bunch of stuff he's winning right now. He's having a great freaking week, a great week. I don't think he wants to fuck that up. And on top of that, you have like the socialist guy being socialist guy in New York getting the Democratic headlines right now. He's feeling pretty strong. He's feeling kind of emboldened. The media kind of like ate some shit when they were going after Trump for the Iran strikes. So, he's emboldened. Whether you guys agree with him or not, and I can understand how you guys might not agree with everything Trump says. He's bombastic, right? He's still having a great week from a political standpoint. I think he wants to keep that momentum going, especially as he needs more capital to get his big, beautiful bill done. All right, so I think it's going to be so new time here. It's right here. Bitcoin is up over 100% since last year's Bitcoin conference. What do people want? Dude, people want exponential crazy moves from Bitcoin. They want crazy moves from Bitcoin. That's why I'm happy with my Bitcoin. This is why I told people, this is why I started doing that let me see if I can show it to you guys here. I should have brought my lighter inside. That's what I should have did. Lighters are so much easier than matches. Although that sound is really nice. Okay. This is why I did this first portfolio here, because my average for the Bitcoin that I bought back a few years ago was 22,543. Okay. And that was back when Bitcoin was breaking down below some of these moving averages. As you guys know, I like the 150. So let me just adjust this one right here. No, I like the 100. Excuse me, the 100. 150 is even better, but the 100 gives me like an opportunity to start loading up, right? So started buying around $135,000, right? Actually, it was around 26,000 when I started buying because the exchanges were kind of freaking me out at this time, if you guys recall what was happening. But I started buying around here, right? Now, I bought all through here and here and here and here and stuff like that. But my average for the Bitcoin I bought was basically here, which kind of makes sense if you're looking at it, right? Especially because I bought so far up here for the first big chunk of it. Now, that $22,543 is now worth $107,000. And all it took was about, let's say I kind of averaged over here, some over here. Yeah, some over here. 128 weeks. A few years, 3 years, 2 years, something like that. 2023. No, it really started in 2022. So 3-4 years. I'm horrible at math right now. Jesus. 2022. 3 years. 3 years. 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years. 2 to 3 years. Something like that. But again, if you just buy and hold in those crazy times, it works out. The thing is, like Solana is up 446%. There are tokens out there like Ethereum that are only up around 70%. My Matic is down 72%. My ADA is only up 16%, right? So there's a lot of variation, but this is why Bitcoin maxis are so Bitcoin maxi, right? They just say Bitcoin will always rule the skies, whatever. What was it? Rule Britannia or something like that? I don't know. Rule Bitcoin. You get the point. So people just, it's just a different thing, when people want to buy and whatnot. I'm all for buying during the crashes. Right now, this is when you scale out. But again, I don't know exactly when Bitcoin's going to top off, Remember, guys, I started to sell my Bitcoin right over here. The stuff I bought back over here. Yeah, I started to sell it over here. So I sold a little bit up here, and then I haven't really sold much since. No, I sold some over here because I was panicking a little bit. I was like, oh, these tariffs are gonna fuck things up, and I rebought down here, so I got a little bit more Bitcoin. But yeah, and I'm probably gonna. What did I sell? I'm gonna start selling again at 120,000 bucks right before that 122,000 level of resistance, and then we'll see how high we go up. But I'm in the scale out mode. I'm not in the let's go buy and do a bunch of stuff. Only buying I'm doing when it comes to this type of stuff, of course, is dollar cost averaging. But I'm playing these moves, like these nice little swings that we have. I'm not playing the whole cycle right now, so I know I'm not expecting some massive return. I'm expecting a nice return, a nice return. But again, for Bitcoin to go up to like from here to 122,000 bucks, that's like 14%, right? So if I'm dollar cost averaging Bitcoin right now, goes up to 122,000 like that, I made 14% profit. Obviously, I'm going to be looking more for altcoins during this time and not so much Bitcoin. But again, during this time, we see altcoins usually bleeding into Bitcoin over and over and over again, which is kind of a nice little easy way to make some money here. There you go. Let's see. And what are the odds that Powell just resigns early? I don't think he will, man. That guy is arrogant, and he doesn't want to admit he's wrong, right? And it kind of goes back to like legacies and how old people view their legacies. I haven't had to think about my legacy yet, thank God, right? But you guys remember when Biden wanted to stay and run against Trump because he thought he was the only one that can beat him, and if he quit, it would mess up his legacy. And also, if he quit and Kamala lost, that would hurt his legacy as well. Kind of like how Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a great life, but she messed up by not retiring during Obama's term, and she wanted to stay for longer. She ended up dying under Trump's term, and then they got Amy Coney Barrett, right? It matters. These people care about their legacy a lot, especially within those political circles. And right now, Jerome Powell's legacy is not, oh, he saved the country from inflation. It's transitory. Like they put on his gravestone, it's going to say transitory, right? Jerome Powell died a transitory death. That's how crazy his legacy is, because he frankly like gaslit the entire country to not believe that prices were going higher. And I personally, I think it was to help Biden, because it felt like Biden was kind of teetering at that time mentally, right? And that can be a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory. Trust me, I understand. But that's kind of my thoughts on the matter. And now that Trump's in office, he's trying to do what he can to try to, again, fix inflation, but not let Trump take credit for it, right? I think if Trump would just shut up and not talk about it, Jerome Powell would probably lower rates a month earlier, because he doesn't want it to appear like Jerome Powell is being told what to do by Donald Trump. He doesn't want that appearance. And then you add on to everything else that we've been talking about. Jerome Powell is going to be getting kind of sidetracked here pretty soon, because Trump is going to be putting in like a shadow banking president that actually has some power over Jerome Powell and some of the stuff he can do, which makes it easier for Trump to say, hey, we're going to have a more of a rate cut vibe in here, which again, I don't think that'll necessarily work in Trump's favor the way he wants it to, but it's showing Americans that he is trying to cut rates. I think if you polled the average American, they would want lower rates right now. And I think if you ask them, do you trust Jerome Powell? I don't know if there'd be a massive majority of people that say, hey, I trust Jerome Powell because of what he did in 2022 with the first wave of inflation. He did it all, right? I just don't think that's going to happen like that. RGC was fun. Did you ever look into that again? I have not. Let me check it out very fast. And you're saying, not a compare symbol. I need to. There you go. And you said this is a stock. Oh, and Kilo, I also checked out the live stream. I didn't see any issues, so I wonder if it was just something with certain people's YouTube accounts. It was glitching out for them. But I don't know. Bioscience. Oh, I can't play with Bioscience. I've been burned too many times with Bioscience. Burned way too many times with Bioscience. That was a nice pop that went up from $15 all the way up here to 93. That's beautiful. Now you might see it fall back down like a rock, and you're gonna see everybody put puts over here for $1. Oh, Jesus. How many times did this split? Oh, they split right here. That's why there was so much fun in it. 38-1 split. Interesting. Don't grunt at me. Loki's over here. Go, roar. There you go. Yeah. You have your fun. But yeah, that's a very interesting play right there. I have got burned so much from bioscience stocks. It's absolutely insane. So much from bioscience. An 88 and Link holders sell in July. Okay, I'd be holding. I don't really feel the incentive to be selling stuff right now. Again, I have stop losses and stuff like that, but most of my tokens, like ADA, they're longer term holds until I see that Bitcoin is like hitting a cycle high. I don't think this is the Bitcoin cycle high. I think, didn't we just have like a record breaking amount of Bitcoin bought this month? Let me see. Let's see. Mortgage. Safety. 15 hours ago. Also, we just had the options expiring pretty soon, which is going to be pretty good news for us as well. Here's a similar story. Wall Street buys over $1 billion in Bitcoin amid dollars do or die moment. Trump's early Fed replacement plans rattled markets, accelerating dollar losses and sending dollar index to its lowest level since April of 2022. This was posted yesterday, right? And of course, we've been talking about the dollar index for a while. It used to be that when the dollar index was falling, Bitcoin was having some really good moves, right? Times have changed. Look at this. This is the weekly chart. We haven't been this low since February 2022. Right? I mean, things are looking pretty darn good for the economy right now. Again, not in terms of how everyday people spend their money. That's, of course, not what's happening. But in terms of just saying, hey, the economy is grinding along and we're not looking like we're at the cliff anymore. We've kind of backed up a little bit because we've been into the cliff, even like hanging on for dear life a few times. And that's because of some of this tariff shit, right? Now, there are different reasons for people like tariffs. I understand it. But from a market perspective, fucking I hated it, right? Again, we're coming down a lot. Oil, before all this war stuff was happening with Iran, oil was coming down a lot. I mean, just look at how chaotic this was. I mean, we were crashing and burning. Now oil is coming back down even more, which is great. It's shut down for the week, of course, because they don't operate over the weekend. But when stuff like this happens, this causes chaos for OPEC. So now it's probably not going to be in the news as much because of all the other stuff. Let's see. Can I find something more recent? Or this is 4 weeks ago, but no. How do I want to play this? Routers, but I think Barons cost money. Yeah, no. There you go. Well, actually, let me just read this right here. This is more than enough for this type of story. Crude prices are expected to fall in the long term as Saudi Arabia and other big oil producers move to regain market share. So right now, America's pumping a shit ton of oil, which is making our gas a little bit cheaper before all this crap happened right here, right? But if America's pumping more oil, and the economy is slowing down, so we don't really need as much, what you're seeing is, unfortunately for Saudi Arabia, they just don't have a huge amount of the world's oil, or as much as they did before, right? And they want to be able to, and if they don't have that type of same market share, they can't influence the prices as much as they've had before, right? So they're losing a little bit of that economic power to really fuck with prices. Like every country wants that power because oil is crazy lucrative. Now, again, that being all said and whatnot, right now, we could easily see next week oil continue to fall down more and more and more. I haven't been hearing over the last few days anything about Iran, Israel war, the things that are really gonna like spiral out of control again. We seem pretty chill. Iran didn't block the strait. I think if they did, they would get like assassinated. Like that's how much we want that oil over there. So I think things are pretty darn calm right now, which will give oil a reason to go down. And then on top of that, you go over here to the oil stocks. You know, I like my ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil has been sideways. It hasn't been going up because oil prices have been pretty stagnant, right? But you go over to other places like a Schlumberger, that's down, right? Where's my other oil stocks though? Devon Energy going down. ConocoPhillips mostly sideways, but you've seen a little bit of a trickle down, right? Now, my poor PXD, that one's been bought out by ExxonMobil, but that would have been down about now too. So a lot of crazy stuff going on. I think there's a lot of opportunities right now to buying up assets, but I still not like imminent massive move. I'm not in that type of idea right now. I'm like, okay, we can make a move next week. It could probably hit close to all-time highs. Maybe we even go higher, but there's going to have to be a catalyst for that. If we don't have a catalyst, we're probably going to continue to chop until we have our next big meeting, like which is next big meeting calendar. That's July 29th and July 30th, which means it's on July 30th, and they're not going to do any big announcements then. The big announcement will be September 17th. And they fucking skip August right there, so September. And if we go off of the, let's see. The probabilities for interest rate cuts. Probabilities, you guys can see that, yeah. The probability is really coming in October and September. And there's no August in here, as you guys can see. But so for this next month, July, only an 18.6% chance we have a rate cut. Maybe this goes up. This was actually lower, a lot lower a couple weeks ago. So maybe this does actually go up a little bit more. But in reality, it seems like most people believe we're going to have our first rate cut in September. Let's go over here. This is the daily chart. September is not until here. And this isn't just September 1st. It's September 17th, which means, all right, we're waiting until about here, which means we could easily see Bitcoin consolidate for a while and then make a larger move. Now, as far as I'm concerned with legislation and stuff like that, Bitcoin could easily make another batch of all-time highs, but from what I'm looking for is a massive type of move like this type of thing, right? Or maybe something like that. You know, we had low rate cuts over here for the most part still. Or no, not low rate cuts. What do I want to call it? Let me just call it stimulus. A large amount of stimulus still in the economy at this point. But right now, choppy. I wouldn't be surprised if, unfortunately, we have to wait a long time for that if you're going purely off of rate cuts. So this is why I'm still saying dollar cost averaging should work out pretty well. We have catalysts and stuff like that, so if we get the right news, we can boost up. But I just don't know, without rate cuts, how crazy things will go. Luckily for us, we didn't need rate cuts for this or this or this, so we can still make those moves. But I think people just have to feel really good about the economy or have an idea that rate cuts are coming so soon that we can start booming up. So, like, again, rate cuts didn't start until, let's see, did it go back in time? Yeah, there we go. October 9th of last year. So we had rate cuts right there. And then we saw some big moves. Yeah, so we should be okay, but there is a case for saying, hey, rate cuts need to do some stuff for us, right? Rate cuts can really make things easier. We can still grind, but I think rate cuts just make it that much easier for Bitcoin to hit 150,000, 175,000. Those really big levels that you hear on the news, I don't necessarily think they happen until we get rate cuts. Bitcoin to 122,000? Oh, possible, definitely possible. Bitcoin to 130,000? Maybe, sure. Bitcoin to 140,000 with no rate cuts? Ooh, that sounds difficult to me. But again, I have been wrong about some of these longer term forecasts, so just take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt, I would say. And hey, Kilo, I think it's just you because right now I'm looking at it right now and it has everybody's names on here. So let me zoom in a little bit. See, Kilo, Mike, I can see everybody's names. I think it's just a you glitch, but I don't know how to fix something like that because I've never had it happen before. Maybe you log out and log back into your account or something. I wouldn't even try that because then I might forget your password and some stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm not having the issue at all. Would you recommend topping off alts about a dozen in my portfolio? I would say go by coin basis. So if you have some tokens that are performing well and they've been going up a decent amount over the past like 3 months or so, I would say top off on those tokens a little bit so you can average up a little bit, which is going to sound kind of weird. And then if you have tokens that have really been bleeding down, like a sand token, right, where it's low, it's not been doing anything necessarily great. You might have an average over here, you know. If you want to, you can dollar cost average, but I'd be okay just holding off because when this thing blows up, you're gonna have a really good return. Um, But for me, I've always enjoyed just topping off those things that have kind of earned it. They're doing well. I can see the money still going up. And that way, if anything happens, you can always just say, oh, I'm going to sell that take that profit and run type of stuff. But I would go coin by coin basis, coin by coin basis. Like I was talking about here with the portfolio we were talking about earlier, or the one we made earlier, excuse me. You know, this one right here. There we go. SEI is up 61% since we bought it. Bitcoin's only up 2. Crow's down 11. BNB's up 0.2. XRP's down a little bit. Ethereum's down 4%. Pepe's down 11%. Solana's down 3. Dogecoin's down 5. Hyperliquid's down 7. Bubble Maps is down 6. And Official Trump is down 3. If I was looking at any of these, again, it doesn't go past 7 thing. But if I saw some of these have like some green weekly ones, I might top into those a little bit more. Or you can go the other way and say, hey, those ones are making me money. I can scale out of those a little bit right now because they're ahead of schedule, and I can rotate some of the profits I got from, let's say I sold some SEI, and I can rotate it into something that has maybe been losing a little bit more money than I thought, something like a Dogecoin or a Hyperliquid perhaps. You can do it that way as well. But yeah, I'd be topping off into certain altcoins. I just like to make sure where I'm moving my money is generally working out good for me so far. Like here. 90, 60, 30 days. I want to see stuff that's all green. Now, Bitcoin, you can see it's all green just because it's only down 0.64%. You can adjust it as needed, right? But this is generally a pretty good thing to buy. That's Tether. Tron is generally speaking doing pretty well. Last 50 days kind of unch, but generally speaking pretty darn good. Hyperliquid, Bitcoin Cash, that's still doing fine. Things that make you want to be like, oh yeah, long term, this is a great play right here. Uniswap is okay. Sky, SEI. This is one of the reasons we bought SEI. Maybe KuCoin token, although that's not really great. Maybe Quant if you want something a little more higher risk, but last 30 days it's down. But 60 days to 90 days, it's still relatively up. So again, you can kind of give or take with these qualifications I gave you guys. Kaya, you can give some money into that. SPX 6900. That one's doing fine. Maybe Pax Gold, but again, that's just kind of gold. Maple Syrup Finance, up 30% last 7 days. Man, do you want to catch on to that roller coaster? Maybe, maybe not. But that one's doing fine. Aerodime Finance. It's glitching on me a little bit. Making sure I'm still smooth in my camera. Okay, so it's not okay. That's just a website issue. Honestly, not much on the second page. Oh my god. Unless you want some stable coins. Ape NFT surprisingly has been doing okay. Dog Protocol is down 23% over the last 30 days, but still up 50%. So that's maybe on the wish list, you know. Zebek Network is up 166% last 60 days. It's only down 30% basically over the last 30 days. That's not bad. I mean, like, grass is like just cratering right now, you know what I mean? Live Peer. I think I bought some grass because one of you guys was talking about it. I'll have to see how it's performing. Liver Peer, we talked about that one a second ago. Raven Coin. Not my favorite, but it's been around. Threshold, maybe. More of an but maybe. And then by then, you know, once you get to coin 200, you already have like $163 million market cap. You go past this, you're looking at some really high risk stuff. But, you know, fellas. See, this one says it's $1 billion market cap. I don't know if that's real or not. 220, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell. It's so freaking weird right now. It's not freaking weird right now how CoinMarketCap.com is having billions in the 203 spot. It's a glitch or something. And now this one's at $773 million. It's like, I don't know if it knows the market cap or how it's valuing things anymore, right? I don't know how it knows that. Like $1 billion right here. What is going on? I don't understand how they're ranking it. I thought the number was based off of their market cap, right? So again, I'm very confused by all that. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a glitch or whatnot, but it's really been messing with my brain lately. But if any of you guys know, let me know here. You know, but again, there's only so many tokens, right? Now these are the trending tokens last 24 hour. Bitcoin, SEI, Solana, Pudgy Penguins. I mean, that one still has some move. It's up 17% last 24 hours. SUI a little bit here. Live Peer, like we were talking about. See, it's grinding. It's not like necessarily great, but it's grinding. And grinding is all you could really want sometimes. Let's see. $252 million market cap. That can go a lot. Oh yeah, it's at $6 right now. It was up at $74 back in November of 2021, I should say. So open video infrastructure. Interesting. Future of live video. And a little bit of AI stuff as well. Transform any live stream with a prompt. I don't know how that would work. I don't really use prompts in live streaming like that unless it's something boring like Chat GPT, but you never know. Maybe it would help out a little bit more. It's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. Avex, Ave, Render, Soul. If all were balanced, like saying you had like the same amount of money in each one of these things, I'd probably put some money into Solana because that's safe, right? A little bit safer. Volatile, but just safer. I'd probably leave Render alone because Render can have a massive spike at any moment. So like whatever money you got in there, if it moves big, you'll still make a good return on it. And then I'd probably invest some money into Avex and then a little bit less into Aave. Render is interesting. As you go over here, you can see the liquidity issues there, but right, it's at a big support level. It's there. We can easily pop off and go higher here. A little bit of a death cross. I'm not too concerned because I want to see where Bitcoin goes, not this, but I'm okay letting this sit for a little bit because when it does make its nice little moves, right, it can have some really juicy returns. For instance, this was back over here for rate cuts, right? So you go, let's just say not from the bottom, let's just go from the middle over here. Dollar cost average, the bottom. That's like 96% profit. It's good. It's great. Is it fantastical? No, but it's good, right? So I don't feel the need to like go crazy with that one. Speaking of Avix, let me see that one. Probably that's one. We'll go to the next one we talked about here. Right. Again, similar at a level of support, trying to hold on, also having a death cross right here. And the downtrend here, We're not at 2021 levels, obviously, right now. But if this one goes back up a little bit more as well, you're going to have something of a similar type of return, right? So let's see, you average down over here a little bit above where we are right now. And let's say we just get back up to not these highs, but just something over here. That's 115%. It's in that same realm, right? So I think you're fine for it, but it still might take a little bit longer because of all the stuff with rate cuts that we were talking about earlier. Tau, yeah, Tau is another great one. Tau gets a lot of volatility, which is pretty interesting. You get a lot of people that just want to buy the wave, which means you see a lot more people taking profits and then buying back down and kind of rinse and repeat type of cycle with it, which is, I think, is a pretty good idea for most people out there. All right, let me go over here very fast. I wonder if there's any more news of Bitcoin here. Biggest takeaway from talking to lawmakers and staffers about Bitcoin in DC all day: we are so damn early and the totalitarian temptation is very strong. Well, there we go, right? So, again, we are still very early. Sold my Rolex collection for Bitcoin. Oh, but he did it today? Damn, you see, you're supposed to do that a while ago, but maybe he'll be fine. He's already living in a nice house, though. He can buy more than that. I feel like Rolexes are going out of fashion, though. The old simple ones are still pretty good, but I think people have been moving towards all the Omegas and Psychos, or what's called Grand Psycho, not the regular Psycho, but the Grand Psychos, all types of stuff like that. At least in my friend group. Patek, whatever, Patek. I've been seeing some of those watches around too, but those things are looking expensive. One of my friends, he works at Google, he just bought like a $50,000 watch. I'm like, bro, it looks beautiful. But bro, actually, he sold one of his Rolexes so he could buy it. Oh, man. Bitcoin dominance, all that good stuff here. See, here's one. He says that he thinks Bitcoin dominance before 71%, right? He's going back to 2021 levels, which is a pretty interesting way to look at it as well, right? Now, I like fibs more than those hard levels because, again, I would have to say a lot of shit has changed from 2025 back to the way people viewed crypto in 2021, 2020, back over here. There's just a lot more going on, right? But I do think that's curious. There's so many different opinions out there, right? Which is pretty cool. Senator Tim Scott says the Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill will be finalized by September. That is so long, but that's also when we're having rate cuts. The way they time this shit up is always so crazy. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see. You're spot on. Solana has a larger amount of my portfolio. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's the way I feel about it too. It's just you're probably gonna have more money in there, right? So when that thing pops off, it usually pops off very well. And again, as somebody who's bought Solana over the past, few years, go to my main portfolio here. I gotta add some more tokens here, but there we go. You can see my Solana is up 445%. Where my Ethereum is only up 70%. I've been very disappointed with Ethereum this cycle on. But it's something we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I think dollar cost averaging is fine. I don't even think you need to even do moderate size dollar cost averaging. I think it's only small dollar cost averaging right now. That may come back to bite me, but I don't think I need to go all in because, again, I just don't see those rate cuts happening. Going off of probabilities, which I do like these a lot, probably not until September. That's months away. July, August, that's like 2.5 months away. It's just not worth it. Not worth it at all. And then October for sure. It's not going to take to October, I hope. And then an 18% chance at the end of July, maybe. Maybe that goes up. But I'm really hoping we need rate cuts as far as the economy is concerned. And Jerome Powell still is playing around in the political realm a little bit too much for my flavor, right? It's a trader's coin for no doubt. Oh, yeah, exactly. But trader's coins are pretty fun, though, if you ask me. I like them. You just got to, trust the chop of it, though, which can be very crazy because it's building up. You're like, oh, I bought some. Oh, it's up 10, 15%. Oh, it dropped down 5%. Oh, it dropped down 10%. Then it keeps on going up, and it's like somebody's specifically trying to shake you out as it goes higher and higher and higher, right? So it is what it is. But okay, everybody, I'm going to call it a night right here. I appreciate all of you guys in here tonight. I'm going to start streaming until I feel like chat's quieted down or there's not much more to talk about in the stream. I was going to try to do that 3-hour thing, but I don't think it worked out too well after looking at the data here. but I will be doing 2-hour streams, 3-hour streams, especially if there's some breaking news. If there's big news, you can expect up to a 4-hour stream. Nights like this where we're just chill, it's a Friday night. This is technically my day off, but who cares, right? We're going to be doing some fun stuff. And I will be streaming again, even though I don't normally stream on Saturdays. I will be streaming tomorrow. It'll just be more of the middle of the day, I hope. And then I'll show you guys some cool new stuff I'm working on later on. I'm using AI to give advice in a very simple way, which I'm going to see if it works out. So you guys will see it, but you may not see it depending on how the algorithm looks. So we'll see together. But thanks for watching, everybody. And I hope you guys all have an amazing rest of your day. Let me give Loki